Alright. Hello, hello. If we're alive, then guess I'll start. Hello, everyone. Hello, questing for glory. My name is Potaterhands, and this is Moon Remix RPG Adventure, also known as just Moon. We're running it a little bit behind, so I might as well just go ahead and start the run. In 3, 2, 1, go. We're going to be playing in Japanese because it's faster. There is an English version, but the text there scrolls a little bit slower, and that a little bit adds up to a lot over the course of a 2-hour run. This intro section doesn't really have much gameplay, and it takes a while to get done with, so guess in the meantime I can explain first what Moon is, for those who don't know, and then I'll explain the speedrun once we get to the actual gameplay. So Moon is often called an anti-RPG because it's sort of a deconstruction and parody of traditional JRPGs like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Moon questions the core premise of many of these games, where the protagonist is often a quote-unquote hero who needs to slay whatever big bad villain he's been tasked to deal with. So you usually start with level 1 and have to fight a bunch of stuff and kill and gain experience points through that and level up and become stronger. And you also get to literally just talk to any NPC and walk inside their houses and sometimes even take stuff from there without asking. And Moon is like, isn't that kind of ridiculous? Alright. By the way, naming myself with a short one-character name here. You've probably seen this before. If you watch RPG runs, it takes less space in the text box. Saves time. Yeah, Moon sort of deconstructs that traditional JRPG premise. Like, why is the hero, who's supposed to be a good guy, not helping people, but instead just running around and stealing and murdering? What if we could just see what was really happening behind the scenes from the perspective of the NPCs, the inhabitants of the game's world? We encounter our first battle here against a dog who just runs away. I'm not actually gonna fight any of these battles, so this intro section is basically like an auto-scroller, like a long interactive cutscene of sorts. I guess that's one of the downsides of this game as a speedrun, is you have to sit through quite a lot of kind of nothing at the beginning. And here, the developers basically just poke a little fun at this Dragon Quest, but probably just JRPGs in general. You can see the TV borders around the screen. That means we're currently playing a game inside a game. Our actual protagonist is not the hero that you see in this game within a game, but a little boy sitting in his room and playing a JRPG on his console. And this game is also called Moon, which is kind of confusing. We call this one Fake Moon instead to distinguish it from the real game Moon that I, the real human, am playing right now. Yeah, some of the... there's like some humor going on the screen, some references and stuff. You're not always gonna get it if you don't understand the text, which unfortunately we are playing in Japanese. It's not too big of a deal. If you haven't played this game, then this run might spoil some things for you, but not too much really. Like, this run is not even going to contain like half of the game's story. And I do recommend experiencing the story for yourself. It's definitely a journey. This fake moon intro is going to last about 7 minutes. So we are currently on the 3rd chapter out of the 4 that we need to complete. And once again, I'm not actually playing any of these battles. Okay, and our hero is slowly getting stronger. And we can move on to the final save file that we will load here. We are about to face the final boss. This Fake Moon, it originally was supposed to last longer, but the developers ultimately decided to cut it down significantly, so that's why it goes by really fast. Of course, we walk through this long corridor and take an airship ride to the final dungeon. Just like any good JRPG. With its own airship theme as well. We're almost at the Demon Lord's lair. But first we have to fight this cluster of creatures. Looks very menacing, but we're already strong enough to just basically kill it in one hit. Alright, and now we actually proceed inside the castle, where we're gonna fight the final boss, the Dragon King. I have to say, this is a surprisingly detailed pixel art sprite compared to everything else you see in the segment. I don't know why they had to go this hard with this sprite in particular. But our mom calls out to us and tells us to go to sleep right in the middle of the battle, just before we are able to finish the game. It is, after all, late night. Oh, what's happening now? The TV just suddenly turned itself on. And our little boy gets sucked inside, and we are about to enter the world of the game we were just playing. So this is gonna be like a 2-minute long cutscene. There's gonna be a few of these throughout the run. I usually use these breaks to just kind of get up and stretch, do some jumping jacks, get water, go to the bathroom. This is gonna be a very long fall for this little boy, all the way from the top of the sky. And this is, as some fans have pointed out, basically isekai. The concept of getting sucked inside a video game. We're not gonna be the overpowered protagonist though. Definitely not. Okay, and here's our hero. The events of what we just saw in the intro section are gonna play out basically the same way in the actual moon world here. but the context around them is going to be slightly different. So the hero here is not actually as cool and beloved by everyone as it was presented in Fake Moon. Here's a little boy somehow surviving the landing. And this is what we did at the start. Just walk up to the king and get a quest from him. The quest is, I guess, to slay the Dragon King for whatever reason. Okay. And we walk back out of the castle. Our little boy is invisible on the first day. Here he is again, the hero. The NPCs in this town don't actually like him that much. They're just like, who the heck is that guy? With that ridiculous heavy armor and his oversized sword. And that is one of the core points that Moon tries to make, is that, you know, the heroes that do this just run around and fight everything. They're not actually very cool guys. No one likes them, and you shouldn't either. Alright, so because we're invisible, if we try to talk to any NPCs on the first day, or I guess we call it day 0 because nothing's happening yet. If you try to talk to anyone, then they will just ignore you, as if you're not there. So we need to step out of the castle town first and find this little shack just outside of town. So here lives an old lady and her dog. Her name is Granby, and Granby can't see very well. So the fact that we are invisible doesn't really matter too much to her. Plus her dog can just sense our presence and alert her to it. And Granby is really kind, so she's gonna let us stay the first night here. There's a little bit more story to why she lets us stay here, and it kind of ties into the game's larger narrative. But I probably shouldn't spoil too much about it. Just know that she's a really kind old lady, and we get to sleep here as much as we want, but we're only gonna use this bed for the first night. And as we enter the dream world, we meet the queen. This is Queen Aphrodite. She's this floating head that we're gonna see every time we go to sleep. She guides us through the game world, basically, and explains some of the systems, the fact that we need to gather love, and that we level up every time we go to sleep. There's a little cutscene that plays at the start of the next day here, so what I'm gonna do is soft reset the game. Which skips the cutscene. And that saves time, even though we have to sit through 2 sets of splash screens here. The native, or not the native, like the way to do that on Steam is by changing the language of the game twice. So we changed to English and then back to Japanese because we don't want to run on English slow. But even though we sit through all of that, it still saves time over just watching the cutscene normally. And finally we can start day 1. So at the start of the day, I talked to Granby once to get a cookie from her, That's gonna be important later, like much, much later. But for now, we just keep that cookie in our inventory. She gives us cookies every morning. Every new day that we talk to her, she just gives us a new bag of cookies. It's very nice. But we only pick up one in this run. Okay, so we head here just to follow the hero for a bit. He's just got done with his business at the bar. Not sure what he did inside there. But we're gonna step into it for a little bit. Just to pick up an important item. I guess in this game it doesn't even count as an item. It's a music CD. So this game has a kind of an interesting, not very well executed I would say, but interesting idea of choose your own soundtrack. So you get all these music CDs that you can buy and collect. And whatever music you want to put on, you just play it through like a playback device in your menu. But we're only picking up that one CD for this run because it's gonna matter later. We go back down here and meet the hero again as he's about to execute his first killing. So as you know, heroes in RPGs need to kill monsters in order to gather experience points and level up and get stronger. It turns out the monsters are not actually like those vicious, hideous creatures. They're just cute little animal critters that roam around the world and mind their own business. As this guy here, Bilato, explains to us. They're just innocent little animals. So the hero is just a really big meanie for killing a bunch of them. Bilato is... You're not gonna see him a whole lot in this run. Probably just for a bit at the end. He is a servant for the queen. And he just explains the animal catching mechanic here. And gives us the journal. Which in your casual playthrough will let you know how... It will like, give you hints on how to catch an animal. So animal catching is one of the main ways of collecting love in this game. One of the two main ways. Basically, we need to collect love points. These are the equivalent of traditional experience points in RPGs. So you collect love points and then they get converted into love levels and you level up. And you become, well, quote-unquote stronger. You're not fighting anything in this game. And you can catch animals by chasing their souls and then returning their souls to their dead bodies, which essentially resurrects them and brings them back home. And by that you earn love, because you're doing good things. You earn love points, and most animals reward you with 2 love points, like I just did there. We're gonna be catching another animal here. Some animals are really simple to catch. You just chase them and press the action button, which makes this grabbing motion. Some of them you have to do a little bit of like puzzle solving. This is a pretty simple puzzle. Usually this animal, Thworm, its name, it escapes through the gap that opens up when you move that rock, so what you have to do is move that rock back so that it blocks its path. Thworm, unlike most animals, rewards you with 4 love points, as opposed to the usual 2, which is really good. We'll go further here. We need to go further to the east. And what we're going to do here is go to this part of the map and activate a rainbow machine. So the total amount of love points is the total amount that is available to you throughout the game is predetermined. There's only 200. For this run, we only need 97. Remember your colors of the rainbow. Apparently Japan only has 8. Is that... I think it depends on the culture, right? So Japan has 8. I know a lot of countries have 7. Either way, very easy puzzle. But yeah, we need 97 love points in total, which will get us to level 22. And the reason why we need to get to level 22 is because of a system called Action Limit. Action Limit is basically your stamina, which slowly goes down throughout the day. And if you run out of Action Limit, you pass out and get a game over, which basically undoes all your progress throughout the day. I'm gonna go up here and catch this cicada animal called Semimaru. But yeah, so you need to, before your action limit runs out, you need to sleep, which also resets the action limit for the next day. And sleeping also levels you up. It converts all the love points you have gathered throughout the day into love levels. And the higher your level, the more action limit you get at the start of the day, meaning you can get more done in one go. So we're done with all that. This is the end of the first day. One more thing we need to do is unlock a second house. And this will be in fact our main house for this run. So we talk to this guy, his name is Nika, and he's kind of a little bit bored, a little fed up with his life, so he decides to run away, chase some adventurers, and just leaves this house to us. And this is where we will be sleeping for the rest of the run. So this run is very tightly routed. I'm gonna wait for a very specific tick of the in-game clock here. I'll explain the in-game clock later. So one more clock hand movement. 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's the end of the first day. We meet the queen again, who's going to explain the love level system and convert our love points into levels. After this, we should be leveling up to level 5, I believe. But yeah, so action limit, the stamina system, we need more of that. We need a lot of it at the end of the run. Because there's a long rocket ride through space to the moon at the end of the game. And during that long ride, the in-game clock keeps ticking, meaning our action limit keeps going down. So we need a lot of stamina to just to survive that. Start of day 2, we go over here. Gonna proceed north into the mushroom forest. But first, we need to go into this temple because our path north into the mushroom forest is blocked currently by a dead animal carcass. So we need to lift that up first. This is Adder. He lives in this temple and he's the leader of a cult, although he seems to be the only member. But in order to unblock our path into the mushroom forest, we need to speak to him first and complete his trial of sorts. So Adder's trial consists of 3 parts, each having 9 questions. And the first part is going to be based on memorizing text. And this is one of the parts where if you're a non-Japanese speaking runner and you're running in Japanese, it might be preferable to, but it really helps to have some knowledge of Japanese here. You only really need to be able to read basic hiragana and katakana, so no kanji knowledge required. Basically, you see some text and you need to choose the option that matches what you saw. So 6824, that's this one. 2 more questions. That is the shortest of the 3. And final question. Dai ne. This is ne, okay. So that's the first part. The other 2 parts are also going to be 9 questions, but based around other concepts, such as the second part being about sound. You may have noticed a very peculiar style of voice acting in this game. It's not even voice acting. I guess basically the developers took some voice clips of people speaking in different languages and just kind of chopped them up. So in this part 2, Hager just says something and we need to replicate that with one of the 3 choices. Getting one question wrong. That's 3. Getting one question wrong means you have to start the whole part again. So you really don't want to do that. So I'm trying to focus a little bit here. This is arguably the easiest of the 3 parts though. Okay, that's the last question. So, that's part 2. Part 3... Part 3 is going to involve faces. Hager is going to show us a face on each turn for a split second, and we need to kind of memorize it, and then again choose one of the 3 options that matches what we saw. Takes a few beats for him to turn around. The amount of beats before he turns around is a little bit random. I'm not sure how much time you can save or lose due to RNG here. But yeah, you get different faces here, different parts of the face to focus on. If you're doing this for the first time, it might be a little bit tricky. But I've done this enough times to just to know what to look for. Come on, turn around. There we go. This one is about teeth. It's a mouth full of teeth. This one's up at glasses. It's these stylish glasses. Big lips. That one's pretty easy. Big bushy beard. And that is it for Hager's trial. Gonna get a little cutscene here. A little dialogue choice here, where we select the second option to pick up the moon tier. The moon tier doesn't really have any practical use, but you can sell it later for a pretty big amount of money. And we do need to gather quite a lot of money in this run. I think in total about 1700 yen at least. And the moon tier sells for 750. It helps a lot. We just caught that animal, so that's the animal whose dead body was lying on the road. This one is called Sid Witness, but at least that's its English name. I believe a reference to Sid Vicious, because I guess he was a rock star. And Jehovah's Witnesses, because religious themes. I don't know. But yeah, there's a little cutscene here where Adder and Sid Witness say goodbye to each other. A little bit of melodrama. This counts as us catching this animal. And we do get 2 love points from this. And the path is unblocked. But first we head back into the temple. We get 2 love from that. We head back into the temple and talk to Adder again. So after his sacred Holy Spirit has departed, Adder decides to become God himself. And at this point, Adder becomes essentially the hint system, or one of the hint systems in the game, where in your casual playthrough, if you get stuck on a certain quest or certain puzzle, you can come here and for a small amount of money, you can get a little hint on how to solve it. We get 2 love from, I guess, just witnessing Adder become God. And again, we need a total of 97 love points. So every tiny source of love can be useful here. We head into the Mushroom Forest. Mushroom Forest is inhabited by these tiny people called the Kakunte. And there's a sick one lying outside, which we need to help first. So I'm gonna go just barely step into the mushroom forest and pick up 2 red mushrooms. We will need a total of 4 of them, so I'm gonna pick up 2 here. And give one of the red mushrooms to the sick Kakunte, which will heal it. Alright, here you go, little buddy. Kakunte, Kakunte. Alright, let's go back. There's this animal here that you can catch every morning. Just rises up here. And this is one of the animals that are tied to the in-game clock, which I should probably explain maybe a little bit later. But yeah, it appears at this very specific hour early in the morning. And the speedrun is very cleverly routed to, I guess, make it in time. Just as it... Oh, I messed up. It's fine. Didn't need to go outside here. So I pick up the red mushroom and eat it. And we start seeing things. This is the rest of the mushroom forest. And normally if you don't do anything, these Kakunta people will not let you through. But now that we have helped one of their people, the sick one, we actually get to proceed. We earn their trust a little bit. So they let us into the rest of the forest. I'm gonna go around and pick up the other colorful mushrooms. There's 5 in total. We're gonna need them later. There's kind of a tight cycle I'm trying to make here, so hopefully I'm not bleeding too much time. I did mess up a little bit earlier. Well, yeah, that's all. Actually, not all 5 mushrooms. I did deliberately miss one, but I'll be coming back for that later. So yeah, our goal right now is to head further west towards the haunted house. And here's the hero again. So there's 2 reasons why we need to unlock the access to the mushroom forest. One is to rescue the scientist that is trapped in this haunted house. One of the main goals of the game, or of this run at least, in order to beat the game, you need to gather some important items. I mentioned the rocket ride through space before. For that one, you actually need to build that rocket. So first of all, we need to rescue the scientist that will actually help us with that. And he's trapped in a jail cell in this haunted house. And the second part is to collect 5 parts that will go into the rocket. And 2 of those we actually fish out of a lake in the mushroom forest. So that's why we needed to unlock it. The game is really loud right now. I hope the audio is fine. This is probably the loudest the game ever gets. But here he is, Dr. Hager. He's going to help us with the rocket. You can tell he's a scientist and that he's smart because his head is massive. Just one of the many crazy designs that you'll see in this game. Just a really wacky and bizarre game in general. Yeah, here we go. We rescue Dr. Hager. Or, as he's gonna claim, he rescued himself. He is a bit of a jerk, but actually quite a nice person inside once you get to know him well. He is going to help us build the rocket after all. But that's gonna be later. Right, let's see if I make it back in time for the cycle. This is a little bit scary. If I don't make it in time, it's not too big of a problem really, but just kind of a time loss that I don't really want right now. Okay, so this is Cycloelephant. See if I can catch it. There we go. Cycloelephant, so named because I guess it's an elephant and it's a cyclops and it operates on a cycle. So every now and then, at different times of the day, it will fly around, hopping from mushroom to mushroom, and at this time of the day, it hops from that left side towards the right side. And in that little gap that I stood above, that's the only place where you can catch it. But we go back into the mushroom forest and I go on another round of collecting colorful mushrooms. This time we're actually gonna eat them. So you need to eat them in a specific order in order to trigger a certain ritual. And this order you need to, in your casual playthrough, you need to figure out by solving like a convoluted puzzle. You'll find some hints throughout the game world and then translate the Kakuntu language to figure out what words stand for which colors. But I've already finished the game, so I know the exact order I need to do this in. It goes black, then gold, then I eat the red mushroom, then go down here and pick up the green mushroom. This is the one I missed on the first round. I'm gonna eat that right now. And we need 2 sets of these because we're gonna be performing this ritual again later on. Eat the green one, and before eating the final one, I have to wait until night comes because this ritual can only be performed at night. And while I'm waiting for that, I might as well just go up here and catch this animal called Rock Boy. Rock Boy is an example of an animal that acts independently of the game clock. Instead, it shows up after a certain amount has passed since you entered the map. So that's the other type of animals. Some of them have their behavior tied to the game clock. Some of them are just dependent on when you enter the map. Alright, so we started the ritual by eating all 5 colored mushrooms. And this is Tototeruri, a coelacanth who has also been slain by the hero. And turns out it's the sacred animal of the Kakunte people. So they're trying to revive it right now with our help. We're just doing a little ritual. Hopefully it succeeds. This is another point of the run where you can just put your controller down and get up and do some light exercise. Get some water. Remember to hydrate yourself. Alright, turns out Potaterhands cannot be revived right now because its soul has been broken up into many tiny little fish pieces. So we need to collect those first before we can actually revive it. So that's why we need to perform this ritual later again. It's almost bedtime, so I'm gonna slowly proceed back home. Before I do that, I grabbed the green and another red mushroom here, as well as this money bag. Every animal, or almost every animal that you catch, leaves a money bag as a reward with different amounts in them. So, like I said, money is important in this run. We're gonna be using it for just buying different stuff. So we just collect it whenever we can. Right, I'm gonna perform a technique here where I stole the in-game clock. I should probably explain the in-game clock. You can see it in the top left, that's the representation. So the right side is daytime, the left side is nighttime. We're currently at night. The clock hand is represented by that little red dash. The red triangle is the point at which we will pass out if we don't sleep in time. The symbol in the center is just the day of the week. So there's like an in-game clock as well as a 7-day week system. And a lot of things in this game operate based on this clock. We do a technique here where we open a text box. And while that text box is on screen, the in-game clock is paused. But whatever NPCs and animals that are on the same map as you continue their behavior. So in this case, we wait for that guy Burn to finish a successful attempt at that guitar solo. And as we finish that, Hey Boy appears. Hey Boy is an animal that loves rock music. So it appears after the successful attempt. That one is worth 4 love points, which is pretty amazing. I actually stalled for a little bit too long here. Gonna have some time to spare in the in-game clock, but in real time it loses time. But that's okay. We're done with day 2 here. And you're gonna see that clock stalling technique a few more times throughout the run. It's pretty useful. So we are level 9 at the end of day 2, which is very good. And on day 3, we head back through the Rainbow Rocks, the big field map. We're gonna be catching some animals along the way. And there's a lot of flexibility allowed in this route for like the order in which you catch these. This is Slime, one of the 2 slime animals in this game. Both, I believe, along with Slimy, the first animal we caught. I believe both of them are references to the basic slimes from Dragon Quest. Slime here is shy, so if you approach her head on, she will just hop away. You need to wait for her to turn around before you approach her from behind, and then you can catch her. We go further north into this little secret area. This is where we meet Kovan and Ovan. These 2 animals are very RNG. You can lose up to 2 minutes, I think, if they don't appear soon enough, just due to sheer bad luck. But they do appear together, one after another, consistently, and they are both worth 2 love each. So it's a very good 4 love that you can just get very easily here. It's just a problem that sometimes you have to wait here for quite a while, and hopefully I don't have to do that here in this run. It's a marathon run though, so I guess it doesn't matter too much if I lose like a minute or 2 here. But hopefully Kovan shows up. These guys are based on like actual kind of items that Japanese people make for the Oban festival. I believe out of like some sticks and an eggplant and a cucumber. So here we have the first one. That's Kovan. And right after that we're gonna see Ovan. So that took quite a while. That was pretty bad luck. And here is Ovan. Much bigger animal here. And we're also gonna pick up the money bag that Ovan leaves behind because it is unusually big. It has 300 yenam. Like I said, we need a lot of money. There's an item later that we will buy for a whopping 1000 yenam. So a lot of money is very helpful. I might pick up some extra here, really, just to be like extra safe. Alright, the last animal we catch here is going to be Glutandra. She appears behind this billboard every 13 seconds and then disappears. This is another example of an animal whose behavior is tied to when to the moment you enter the map, rather than the in-game clock. Oh yeah, and I am playing on the Steam version. It is available for pretty cheap there, I believe. Right, we go up here, back into the castle town, pick up that pollen food item. I'm gonna explain that later, but first we need to hurry into castle town here, catch another animal here. This is Frog. Usually the way you're supposed to catch Frog is to throw a coin into the fountain in the center of the town, and that lures the frog off of the grass onto the pavement. And you can't really catch it otherwise, or you're not supposed to be able to catch it otherwise because you can't really step onto the grass. But apparently there's a few pixels in that little corner where you can just stand and aim down left. And you can just barely reach it. We head to the eastern side of the town where I need to be in the shop before night comes. So this is Curio, one of the NPCs you may have seen earlier at the castle. Curio runs a shop. And during the day here, we're gonna be buying 2 items here. The fishing rod and some bait. So you can't really fish without bait in this game, so every bait represents a single attempt. And fishing is very RNG in this game. So if you only go for the world record, you buy just the minimum amount of bait that you need. For safety in this marathon, I'm gonna buy 12. Or at least I think I'm buying 12. I'm not sure how many I have right now. I haven't been counting. And obviously, if you do this as a safety strat, it loses time. It takes a while to just go into the menu and buy each of these bait. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. And before I forget, I'm also going to sell the moon tier. So Curio also buys stuff from you. Moon tier is worth 750. That puts our total amount of money that we have on us right now over 1,000. As night comes, Curio goes down to the lower level. We stole the clock for a bit as we wait for him to go down. And while we're up here, we catch MacArthur, an animal that is very conveniently placed up here. MacArthur appears with every blow of the smoke that Curio releases. So that's another free 2 love here. And after that, we can actually go down and meet Curio down here in the basement. At night, Curio runs like an after-hour shop where he sells different, slightly spicier items. We're only gonna need one here, which is chloroform, which we will use to put a certain guy to sleep. But not in a malicious way. It's actually gonna help him. Alright, we're done with the shop here now. And I'm gonna go back and catch a certain animal in the Rainbow Rocks. I'm gonna try to make a fairly tight cycle here. So what happens is Granby's dog that we met earlier, Tao is his name. He goes for walks every night. I'm gonna see him for a bit here. There he is. So he walks through the Rainbow Rocks here into the little secret spot that we found earlier. That's his hideout. But what he does on his way is pee on a certain tree. And at that tree is a dog animal that appears every time Tao pees on it. So this is Elmo. And that's going to be the last animal we're going to be catching before the end of the 3rd day. And we're pretty much done with day 3 here. I'm gonna pick up some extra money here. And we can finally go to sleep. But we're gonna wait a little bit. So the game clock also has another thing. You're gonna see that pulsing dot on the clock display. That's kind of like the equivalent of seconds. So every 10 of those ticks, the clock hand moves forward once. And the route is so tightly routed that you have to measure your sleep times down to a single pulse, a single tick of the clock there. So I waited for the 220-second clock there. And then went to sleep. That's going to be important for the next day. But for now, we'll meet the queen again. If I did everything right, I should be at level 12. There we go. And that should give us plenty of action limit to last throughout the next few days, where we'll be getting quite a lot of things done. Alright, so first of all, I go here and give these pollen items to the stamen flower here. I'm gonna explain this later, and we technically don't have to do this right now. But just for the convenience and the route, I do this here at the start of the day. And we head into the tropical fields down south. So those are the tiny ghost fish, the little fish souls that we need to collect for the coelacanth animal in the mushroom forest. I'm not gonna get all of them. Not now. Gonna collect all of them later. There's a shadowbird. Just flies around in a circle here. And we need to wait for it in the center. I'm doing a quite risky technique here. Oh, I might miss it. I messed up. But, yeah. Oh, I just barely missed it. Okay, it's fine. So, that's quite bad because Shadowbird is worth 3 love. Oh, at least Master Leaf is kind to me. Master Leaf is an animal that goes around this map in a circle, and at certain points it stops and assembles itself into one piece so that we can actually catch it. When it does that and where it decides to do it, it's kind of RNG, so I got pretty lucky there with that. Kind of sad about missing the Shadowbird catch though. We go up to this box to buy a certain item. This is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy in this game. The Hager badge. And this badge will let us into Dr. Hager's laboratory. Or in theory at least. And that's why we needed so much money. I'm gonna try to catch Hana-chan here. Hana-chan? Where is it? Oh, it's all the way up here. Interesting. Hana-chan, it's very simple. You just chase it around and catch it. It just likes to be a little troll sometimes and run away from you and teleport around. A bit of a time waster, but nothing too bad. I'm gonna pick up this money just for safety. I'm gonna be going back to the tropical fields a little bit later. Right now I'm trying to make it in time before night comes. This is where we use chloroform. Oops. Didn't do that correctly. This is where we use chloroform. So this is Cave Guy. He lives in a cave. He couldn't sleep because of this animal called Dream Alien. So we gave him chloroform to put him to sleep. And that makes the Dream Alien appear. And we can catch the Dream Alien and get 2 love from that. We go further west. Need to do a certain thing here. So I mentioned we need to collect 5 rocket parts. This is going to be the first one. So in this little well here lives a family. And the dad here is Tamaya. Tamaya Heikichi is his name. And he is a maker of fireworks. And he has been trying to, for a while, to create the perfect firework. And what we're gonna do down here is help him with it. And the firework is going to be the first of the 5 rocket parts that we will be obtaining. This is another puzzle that you kind of need to spend a lot of steps solving in your casual playthrough. Again, I've finished the game already. I know the sequence. Some knowledge of Japanese or Chinese numbers would help here. But honestly, the numbers are also just ordered in ascending order from left to right. So you could just memorize that. And there it is, the combination for the perfect firework. Alright, and we get 1 love from that for helping him. As well as the perfect firework, which we will be putting into the rocket. It will also kind of help to repair the slightly broken relationship between the husband and wife here. Alright, another thing we do here is pick up the trash firework. This one is not usable for the rocket, but we will use it later to catch a certain animal. Okay, and we can head back now and finally wake up the cave guy. So the main reason why we need to wake up the cave guy, or put him to sleep and then wake him up, is to actually get access to these items. He sells exactly 1 item in his shop called Octalypse. And Octalypse is one of the 2 main fast travel systems in this game, which is of course very useful for speedruns. You eat Octalypse and it transports you from anywhere in the world back to the last house you slept in. I'm actually not sure how many I have here. You're supposed to buy around 4 or 5. So I'm gonna do a quick check after this. I have 4. Okay, I'm gonna buy 1 extra. Just for safety, because this is a marathon run. Alright, and with that, we are done. And oh, it's nighttime now. I was a little slow, so I didn't need to wait there. Normally I would have to. Alright, collect the remaining ghost fish. We already caught Master Leaf, so I don't need to do it right now. Very nice. We go up here, and this is one of the animals that only appears at night. Tommy. Tommy is a bit of a scaredy cat. So if you walk up to him too quickly, he will run away. Instead, what you have to do is to sort of slowly stutter step your way towards him. And that way you can catch him, and that nets you 3 love. 3 love points. Very good. Take a little detour here to catch some more ghost fish. Okay, I hope that's all of them. I didn't miss anyone. Okay. We pick up another pollen food item. And again, I'll explain that later, but it's another fast travel system. We're not going to be using it right now, though. So because I missed the Shadowbird catch, I'm going to be getting 1 unplanned love here. That little ghost fish was a troll. A backup source of love. This will net me 1 love. This is Poka. So the guy that gave us the house, Nika, was married to Poka. Poka loves to be tied to this little wooden pole and gives you directions. Again, don't question it. Like a lot of things in this game, it's just kind of weird. And I'm gonna put on the CD, the music CD I picked up earlier. This is where it comes in handy on day 4. I'll wait a little bit until the clock hand moves right to the middle of the nighttime section there. So the music CD that I picked up belongs to Flora. Flora is the owner of a flower shop in Castletown. And she loves flowers. That's why when you play this music next to these flowers, it revives them. You can see a little bit of the animals that's burrowing through the ground. That's the animal we'll be catching later. The reason why we had to wait before entering this map is to time the catch. This animal has its behavior tied to the moment you enter the map. And after that time passes, we can see it right here. But we can't go we can't go to the left side here yet because these cactuses are blocking our path. They grow up at the start of every night and go down at the end of every night. And if we time our entrance into the map correctly, we can catch this small animal called Molio right after that. Alright, we're done with that for now. We head further east. There's more stuff we need to do on the right side here. And by the way, you're gonna be hearing this music for the rest of the run because it wastes time to go into the menu again and turn it off. Although if anyone has a request, I might as well just do that. It doesn't really waste that much time. And we go through this canyon. There's a few things you can do in the canyon, but not in this run. Waste too much time. Instead, we visit this map called Sunbeams Road, and here we're gonna try to catch 3 animals. One of them is a little bit mechanically challenging. You have to time your catch just right as it zooms across the screen really fast. Ah, I just barely missed it. It's not ideal. Come on, next time. Oh my god, okay. This is not great. Every time, okay. This is pretty bad to have this in the marathon run. Right. I believe I'm the only runner of this game currently that struggles with this catch. It's kind of like a rhythm game. You just time your action as it hits a certain point, but I always struggle with the timing. I don't know if I'm gonna get another chance. We'll see. That was Koma-chan, by the way. Oh, there we go, okay. I got another chance. This is Mr. Naki. He likes to zoom across the screen, and I got it in the 4th try. He decided to have some mercy on me. Thank God. Okay. The animal I caught before that was Koma-chan, who just randomly appears in 3 different spots across the map, 2 of which we can catch it at, and I just waited here because I knew it would appear here at this time. And the final animal we're going to be catching is Cherubi, one of the more ridiculous designs, I guess, among many ridiculous designs for animals in this game. Cherubi is a chair, a living chair. When you put down your controller and do nothing, your character enters this idle animation where he sits down, and Cherubi, when he sees that, he's like, "Oh my god, you're sitting down. Do you wanna maybe sit on me?" And that's when we can catch it. Done with Sunbeam's Road. So we can finally eat the octolips, and this is how the travel system works. We eat the octolips and go back to the last house we slept in, which is of course this one. I'm messing up. Okay. A little bit of a time loss. No worries. I should be catching this animal here. So this is where our trash firework comes in handy. This is Mino, and Mino just roams around your house, broken up into this like pool of little pieces. But when you present a trash item to it, like a trash firework for example, Mino decides to assemble it into a single piece, and that lets you catch it. Alright, we're done here. I'm a little bit short on time, but I think I'll make it in time for the castle pretty comfortably here. So we go to the castle now to meet the king. And the king, late in the daytime section of the clock, the king decides to go into the throne room and sit on the throne and listen to his citizens, the concerns of his people. In this case, we are one of his people, apparently. And as it turns out, the king is very childish in personality. So when we present this badge to him, he just sees a cool black badge and decides to exchange his golden premium badge for ours. It's very nice. And turns out the black badge was not really good enough to get us into Hager's laboratories. If we actually tried to go there, it would just send us back because it's not a premium badge. But now we got this premium golden badge from the king, we can actually go there. We also talk to him again to I guess obtain his business card so that he talks to us later. Could do a little quest here to get the missing love, but I think I'm gonna skip that. Yeah, we just wait here until nighttime comes. A little bit of waiting here. Probably some good room for optimization for future routes. If you can eliminate this waiting time here. So nighttime has come, and at night the king goes into his room and sits at the desk. And this is where we can talk to him. Come on, move quicker. Move quicker, old man. Okay. So if you talk to him normally, he will not really say anything to you, but turns out the business card that he gave us had a little message on the back. And if we present that business card to him, then he's gonna tell us about his grand plan. This is where we learn about the plan to go to the moon. So his idea is to build a rocket and send us to the moon. And he's also friends with the scientist that we rescued. So we're gonna take that letter to Dr. Hager, and that's gonna convince Hager to start building the rocket with us. Oh yeah, and this is where the cookie comes in handy. So cookies, just like with many food items in this game, if you eat them, you get a little bit of extra action limit, which lets you last longer. In this case, that lets me survive into the first hour of the next day. And that is going to be important. It's going to be quite a nerve-wracking moment, but hopefully I survive just fine. I do have a few safety saves prepared just for this occasion if I fail. But yeah, we just wait on that staircase for a little bit, and once this guy comes out, his name is Fred, we follow him. This is one of the fan favorite moments in the game, as well as one of my personal favorite moments as a speedrunner. You'll see why. So yeah, as many of you can probably tell, Fred here, one of the two guards at this castle, is a reference to Freddie Mercury, the legendary frontman of Queen. So that's why he's one of fan favorite moments in the game. It's also one of my favorite moments because this quest rewards you with 6 love points, which is fantastic. We're done with the castle and we can finally go back home and enter the laboratory of Dr. Hager. I'm actually not gonna risk too much here. Where's my button? There we go. I could just walk, but I think I'm gonna take this orb. So like I mentioned, the flower is one of the other of the 2 fast travel systems in the game. This flower, if you talk to the flower next to your house, you can go. You can teleport to one of the other 3 flowers located in different parts of the world, as long as you have picked up their pollen. So we can just quickly get here. Hopefully I didn't miss anything in the tropical fields. But now I'm entering this really high-tech area. So this is going to be Dr. Hager's laboratory. And now that we have the premium badge, we can actually step inside. So, Dr. Hager, here he is. Safe and sound. We give him the King's Ladder, and this is where he learns about the plan to build the rocket and go to the moon. He has a very difficult personality, so he rejects this idea at first, but again, he's a sweetheart inside, so he's actually gonna help us. And he explains to us the 5 parts that we need. So that's the central chip, the cooling system, the propulsion system, the fuel, and the navigation console. And I have already picked up one of the parts, the firework. As you can probably tell from that, none of the 5 rocket parts are actually going to be like actual rocket parts that you wouldn't use in real life to build a rocket. They're just kind of silly items that kind of in theory, I guess, would make a case for them to be used in a rocket. You know, like a really wacky world. Yeah, we step further into Technopolis. This is a little, really high-tech island off the coast of Moonworld, inhabited mostly by robots, but also some animals that have been killed by the hero. This is Philip, I think is his name. I normally wouldn't have to do this, but because I missed the Shadowbird catch, I go down to Club Techno and catch another animal. So all the animals in Technopolis here are members of a band called Sacrifice Animals. This animal's name is Keith, I think. And all the animals' names, I think, are references to real-life musicians. I don't know what Philip was a reference to, but I guess Keith should be Keith Moon. We're gonna go back and step into the residential area. So there are 999 rooms in the residential area. Most of them empty. It's just like any combination of 3-digit numbers that you can find. So in your casual playthrough, you need to do a little bit of figuring out which rooms actually have something in them. So in this case, room 369 has this animal that only appears at night. His name is Beck. I probably don't need to explain what Beck is a reference to. Alright, well, we're done with that. We go into room 199. This is, I guess, where I explain one of the biggest glitches in the game. The Moon doesn't have a whole lot of glitches, but this is a pretty useful one. This is Remen, a reference to salarymen, which are office workers in Japan. So usually the way you're supposed to do this minigame is you wait until all 12 of them are in this room, and you take a survey, basically just talking to each of them once. And the difficulty comes from the fact that you have a time limit, and also the fact that they all look identical and move around constantly. So it's a pretty annoying minigame. What you can do is actually complete this minigame before the start of the run, then soft reset without quitting the game altogether. And for some reason, that minigame completion state carries over into the next save file. So I did this minigame before the start of the run, and if I just talk to a single Reman here, I don't have to talk to all of them, I just need to talk to one of them, and I get automatic completion of the minigame. It's pretty awesome, and this nets us 4 love. Technically, the speedrun still works, like this route still works without this glitch. It's just that it's a lot riskier, because there's a chance you run out of time before you can complete this minigame, and you lose out on 4 love. It's not great. 2 more things we need to do here. We're really nearing the end of our action limit reserves. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but you actually get a bit more leeway than it feels in this route. This is why we slept at a very specific time last night. This is literally the last few ticks of the clock when I can still stay alive. And we wait here in room 895 for this animal, who only appears during the day. This is Jimmy, a reference to, of course, Jimi Hendrix. And one final thing we need to do is go into room 113. Thought maybe a reference to Phil Collins. Ah, yes, yeah. Wonder why he wasn't just named Phil then. But yeah, room 113 has Roby. Roby is a robot that charges himself here on Echo Day and Solar Day, which is the equivalent of real life Saturday and Sunday. We need to get through his defense systems to access his chip brain thingy. And it's a pretty simple kind of memorization game. And I'm saying simple, but it's also fairly easy to mess up. And if you mess up, you lose about a minute here. So not ideal. Just memorize the pattern here. So it goes gradually up in number of points. So there's 6 here. And I think I got it. Alright. We're safe. Yeah. It goes from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. Gets harder, but if you've practiced this enough, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And now we teleport back home and hurry back to bed before we pass out. And I really hope I don't pass out here. This bed also has a kind of a weird trigger, like a weird hitbox for the trigger, so a lot of the time you can actually miss it, and you don't want to miss it there when you're running solo on time. But we're safe. We finished day, well, it was multiple days, but we finished that very long day. Now we can sleep and level up to, if I did everything correct, I should be at level 20. The queen just lists all the animals we caught, the love we obtained. There we go, level 20, with 5 to go. Very nice. That means I am currently at 85 love points out of the 97 that we need. And on this day, we are gonna get quite a lot of that. In fact, all of that, if I get lucky enough. So this is where we go back into the Mushroom Forest. We take this flower warp to this spot and perform the Potaterhands revival ritual again. So remember, the order is the same. Black. Oh, whoops. What did I do there? Okay. Ooh, don't want to do that. Almost messed up there. I would have lost a lot of time. No, the second one's not red. It's gold. After eating the gold mushroom, you get this little kind of trippy cutscene. That character is Florence, by the way. You don't really meet him a whole lot in the 80% beat the game speedrun. But in your casual playthrough, you definitely are going to remember him. One of the craziest characters in an already very crazy game. Yeah, we perform the ritual again. And if I have collected all of the little ghost fish pieces, then the ritual should be successful this time. I'll meet the Kakunte people again. Start the ritual, yes. Or Kakunte in their language. And the game just plays this cutscene in fast forward speed because we've seen it again. Here they are, the little fish pieces that we gathered. And I think I got all of them, yeah. And our little seal can friend is gonna be alive again. And you get, this is the biggest single source of love in the game. You get 8 love points for that. So we were at 85. That brings us to 93. We're only 4 love points away after that. Of course, we still need to finish the rocket. And this is where this part comes into play. This is the biggest RNG you'll find in this game. So after you do all that to help the Kakunta people, you earn their utmost trust, and they show you to this little lake where you can fish. And here are 2 of the items that we can fish out that will go into the rocket. Now there are 8 items in total that you can fish out of this lake, presumably all with equal chance. And again, we need 2 of those items. And on this day, we get a few, like, let's say 6 attempts to catch them. I'm not very good at math, but if anyone wants to calculate the probabilities of success here, that's basically the RNG we're working with. And with, whoops, oh, messed up. With perfect luck, you can fish out both of the items you need in exactly 2 attempts. So that's perfect luck. It's pretty rare. I'm not sure I'm getting anything like that in this run. I already failed the first attempt. And that is disappointing. That is the TV. That was the same pattern as the fridge, which I need as the cooling system for the rocket. This could be the fridge. Okay, there it is, the fridge. So that's one of the 2 items we need, and please, the game station. Whoops, oh my god, I keep doing this. There is also a thing you can do before the run, which has been untested, but there's a restaurant on the far east side of the game world, where you can go and eat a dish called Kitty Kitty Bug Saute. And it is rumored to improve your fishing luck. But it hasn't really been tested thoroughly. But we do that anyway. A lot of us runners do that. Okay. And I'm not gonna get the game station here, so I'm just gonna leave here. I need to make it in time before day comes for a certain thing in Castletown, so I'm gonna take a warp here back home. And remember, we need 4 more love, so 2 of that we're gonna be obtaining soon by catching an animal right outside of Grande's home. You've already seen it, actually. This little bat, the second animal that was slain by the hero. Ooh. It appeared right away. Sneaky. So we're 2 love away from 97. We're currently at 95. The fact that I didn't manage to catch the game station console from the lake means I'm gonna have to go back there later. This is why that fishing minigame is so devastating. The pure bad luck can just lose you multiple minutes. So you have to go back there later. Go fishing again. Okay, so we've seen this bar before. Behind that bar is this bird cage, and this is Yoshida. So Yoshida is a character that you would normally meet quite a lot in your casual playthrough. He is basically your main guide, like the main hint system in the game. You just present different items to him, and he will sometimes explain what they do and what they can be used for. But in this run, the only thing that matters that he does is he runs this travel agency at night in this little bird cage. And we're gonna take a trip to Bali Bali Island. We're gonna go on a vacation here. And this is also another rocket part that we're gonna be obtaining. It's the only reason why we come here. And this is another event, another long cutscene where the clock keeps ticking. So I mentioned the rocket ride before, where the clock also keeps ticking and your action limit keeps going down. This is another example of that. This one is more lenient. You only need to be at level 13, I believe, to survive this ride. We're of course at level 20, so we're far beyond that. But one of the reasons why we do this so late in the run is because after the third time that you sleep in that house, that new house, there's a certain cutscene, a pretty trippy cutscene really, that plays for about a minute. But when you go to Bali Bali Island, when you're done with everything, your character automatically goes to sleep, and the morning after you just wake up in your bed. And that counts as a sleep. You actually like level up and everything, and your action limit resets. But it doesn't count as the kind of sleep that would trigger the cutscene. So basically just by doing this on your third night, instead of going to bed, you can save a minute by skipping that cutscene. I still have some more time in this ride. Might as well explain a little bit about the speedrun history of Moon. So Moon was released in 1997 originally, and it just celebrated its 26th birthday last month. So happy birthday. Despite this, it took until the English release on the Switch in 2020, so over 20 years have passed, for the first human speedruns to appear. And I was pretty much the only runner back then in 2020. Although my initial routes that I used for my runs were based on a few existing tasks from around 2018-2019, created by a person named Chigao. And after a few months of research and optimizations and practice, I eventually settled on a personal best time of 2 hours and 21 minutes, which you might notice is more than the estimate I set for this marathon run. So that was about 3 years ago. The route I used wasn't perfect, partially due to the fact that the tasks I based my routes off of didn't aim to beat the game in the shortest amount of real time, but instead in the fewest amount of in-game days, which is an interesting goal that has some overlap with like a real-time run, but it's still slightly different. And after that, I moved on to other categories and eventually took a break from the game altogether. But in the meantime, new runners gradually started popping up, and they designed their own, like, more optimal routes. And eventually a small community of Japanese runners would form. And you can probably tell, like, this game is pretty popular among Japanese speedrunners. If you're looking at the Twitch chat, some of them decided to come and support me in this marathon run. It's very nice of them. But yeah, the Japanese runners would take the time down to the current record of around 2 hours and 3 minutes, which is almost 20 minutes of time saved compared to my old record. And the current record holder is actually Poco CPP, also known as Jigao. Yeah, the very same tasker whose work I originally researched for my runs. And the Japanese runners are also the ones who designed the route I'm using for this run. We are finally at Bali Bali Island. This is Madasuma. So this island is uninhabited, but Madasuma came here to learn how to play the gamelan, which is a musical instrument played by the monkeys on this island. So guess what? We're about to play some music with monkeys. There it is. The gamelan is basically just a xylophone of sorts, with 5 notes essentially. I messed up. Okay. Could have selected the second option. If you select the first option, he plays like an example melody for you. But again, I've already finished the game, so I can just do this from memory. Just a simple music minigame. So that was the second melody. There's gonna be 4 melodies in total, and they're gonna get gradually, quote-unquote, harder, but they're never really gonna get that difficult. Which I probably shouldn't be saying, just not to jinx myself. I already messed up once. Not in the actual minigame, but with the dialogue choices. Alright, the final one. Okay, we're good. So Madasuma there is like, oh my god, I've been trying for so long, and you just come here and you play all these melodies perfectly, and he just feels down on himself. We just need to walk up to him and cheer him up, and we get 2 love from that. We are now at 97 love points. That's level 22, that's all we need. Except we still need to finish the rocket. I'm missing one part. Right, and our reward for playing music with monkeys is they give us this bottle of a beverage. I'm not gonna insinuate that this game features a child drinking alcohol, because of course it doesn't. But we're gonna use this bottle of alcohol as fuel in the rocket. It's juice, yes. It's just banana juice. Which, as everyone knows, banana juice makes you drunk. It's slightly dizzy. Right, our friend Yoshida has come to pick us up as we head to sleep. Okay. We didn't do a whole lot that day, but enough to reach the level we need. That's gonna be 22. Fantastic. Okay. Time to go back and try to fish out that game station once more. Maybe the fishing will be kinder to me this time. Sometimes you can get really bad luck and not get the items you need even with 12 attempts. Which means we might have to go back into the shop and buy some more bait. It's pretty terrible. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Alright, everyone please pray for good luck here. That is not great luck. The game station has the most difficult pattern, so I'm trying to see like if the gauge goes down too slowly, then that's the wrong pattern, so I just like failed that immediately. I'm not getting good luck here. Wow. Okay, this could be it. Please not be the other one. Come on. Game station. It's per person. Okay. Game is trolling me a little bit. Ah, didn't mean to do that. It's taking a while. Come on. How much bait do I have left? I bought 12, which should be normally pretty safe, but doesn't always guarantee that you get what you need from the this fishing spot here. Yeah. Very tough luck. That means I have to go and grab some more bait. Man, this might be overestimate. I don't know. The RNG gods just don't want the schedule to realign itself today. Let's see, how much money do I have? I might pick up some extra here, just in case. Thankfully, at least the timing works out so that we can actually find the shop here during daytime to buy bait. Otherwise, I would have to sleep. Okay. How much should I buy? Let's try to be a little bit safe and buy like 10. One more. Okay, we can finally go back. I don't have Noctilups on me, so it take a while to just travel back and forth. Yeah. So this, the route, like I mentioned, was designed by the Japanese runners, I believe primarily by the record holder Chigao. There are route notes, like a guide, but it's mostly in Japanese. I'm working on an English translation of that. But they're also working on like more optimized routes. And there might be a new one coming soon, so it might be a good idea to wait until that. I don't know, but if anyone is interested in running this or is watching this, the Japanese community does do monthly races of Beat the Game. You can find the link to the Discord on the speedrun.com page for Moon. Alright, we have enough stamina to last quite a bit, so let's try to fish for the game station again. This marathon luck, y'all. Take this secret path to the secret fishing spot. And once again, let's pray for good luck. And yes, there is an English version on the Switch, on Steam, also on PlayStation 4. Okay, this is the right pattern, so maybe this is it. Oh yeah, you can just play through this. It's a bit of a tough play in 2023, I would say. Some of the things in the game, like game design-wise, didn't really age super well. So I do recommend at least like playing this. Okay, bad luck. Playing this, if you're gonna play this casually, play this while taking a lot of notes of basically everything that happens on screen. Or just like don't feel too ashamed of consulting walkthroughs and guides. Because some of the puzzles can be truly, really obtuse. Right. Not great luck. I do hope at least 10 bait is enough for this. And believe it or not, this is not the cruelest fishing minigame that you'll see in Moon speedruns. There's another category that's called All Love, which is where you collect all 200 available love points in this game. And there is the fishing contest, pretty infamous minigame, which you do on the eastern side of the tropical fields, and that one is even worse in terms of RNG. Okay, this might be the correct pattern. Well, this is definitely the correct pattern. Is it the correct item, though? Come on. It's a game station. Okay. We finally got there. Game station is basically just a reference to the PlayStation, which was the console that this game originally released on, the PlayStation 1. And that's the final rocket part. We can finally go home and sleep first. I'm actually not sure when Hager is going to be awake. So the thing is, I need to hand him all the parts. And sometimes he just isn't available to talk. I might have to wait here just to be safe. It's probably a part that I should have practiced a little bit. I just figure out when Hager is available to talk. Sometime during the night he just goes to his desk and you cannot talk to him. He'll just complain that you distract him. Yeah. And the reason why I'm waiting here is because at level 22 I have just barely enough action limit to survive the space trip. So if I wake up and then spend too long waiting before getting onto the rocket, then that kinda, well, I might not make the trip. So I need full action limit that I did at the start of the day to survive the space trip. A little bit history about Moon, I guess. Moon was released originally, like I mentioned, in 1997 in Japan only, with no English translation, as a PlayStation 1 exclusive. And that remained the case, like it was the only way to play the game for over 20 years, until the late 2010s, when the game was finally ported onto the Switch, and then later localized into English, and then we got it on the PlayStation 4 and Steam in late 2021. There was a fan translation in the works, but that never got finished, unfortunately. Although I do need to mention the secret ending, which is only accessible by hacking the game, which has been fully fan translated, and you can watch that on YouTube. It's really weird and pretty unsettling and kind of sad, like even more so than the rest of the game here. But it's very interesting. So nowadays you can actually play this game on modern platforms, including Steam, on Windows and Mac, with an English translation. English translation was done by Tim Rogers, who you might know from his Action Button reviews. He's responsible for quite a lot of the funny translated names. Some of them match the original Japanese names, but some of them, it kind of makes sense not to like just translate the name directly phonetically, but rather turn them into a different pun in English. So I feel like Tim did a pretty great job at that. And we are about to enter Hager's laboratories. He's still working at his desk, but as daytime comes, he should be here. Alright, and actually hand him the rocket parts.
Landrentabel. Die meisten sind in Besitzer uninteressant. Aber nicht genug Verlust bis hierher den Ordnungen bei. Wie war das? Bis hierher den Ordnungen bei.
Does Love Gather change the ending? It doesn't really change anything. Like you can literally get all the love in the game and it will not change the ending. Wrong item. I keep messing up. Right, that's fine. You can tell me off as much as you want, Hager. It was completely fair. Yeah, these are the rocket parts. I handed in the PlayStation or Game Station console, which is used as the navigation console for the rocket. Actually, not that far off from truth, I believe. There was a story about like the American military at some point using PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 controllers as their technology. I don't remember the exact story, but it's pretty interesting. was it the consoles themselves? They like built a supercomputer out of PlayStation 4s. We hand in the fridge, which acts as the cooling system. That is definitely not how fridges works. Yeah, definitely not how rockets work. Probably not how fridges work. The firework is the propulsion system, and finally the bottle of banana juice. Definitely not alcohol. I think Tim Rogers translated this drink as the signal liqueur. So make of that what you will. And we have finished our rocket. At this rate, I should be just slightly overestimate. Nothing too bad. Now I can head into Technopolis and into the rocket room. There it is. The Technopolis during the day, which you wouldn't see a whole lot in a typical run. Oh, there we go. Thank you for the exact fact there. The US Air Force used a core of 1,760 PS3s for a supercomputer. Oops. Okay. And now we board the rocket. Thank you, Wandering Mind SR. That is a lot of PS3s, yeah. And from now on, it's gonna be again a bit of an autopilot section. We're about 20 minutes away from finishing the game. And that's 13 minutes of this long rocket ride cutscene. And 7 minutes of kind of gameplay, but you really just walk around and match the dialogue. Just like the intro. So at this point, if you've been watching this run for since the very beginning, you can probably already tell it's a really weird, really quirky, wacky, bizarre game. Has a really unique style and charm to it, and it's no surprise that it's considered a cult classic. Many people in the West may have found this game at first thanks to Toby Fox, who mentioned it on his Twitter as one of the inspirations for Undertale. The direct quote is, "The point of the game is to repair the damage the hero caused and increase your LV, which stands for love, by helping people instead of hurting them." Anyway, you can see how this inspired Undertale, even though I didn't play it. It's in Japanese. So shortly after that tweet, Toby Fox would eventually participate in an interview for like a Japanese publication together with Yoshiro Kimura, the lead developer of Moon. After which they would have lunch, and Toby expressed his wish for Moon to be released in English. And that inspired Mr. Kimura to work on getting Moon released on modern platforms and in English. So kind of a sweet and funny story about the two developers inspiring each other. Moon was developed by a studio called Lovedelic, which operated in the late 90s. And it consisted of many of the same people that worked on Super Mario RPG. Moon was the studio's first game, after which they would create 2 more before sadly closing down in 2000. And following that, the former members of Lovedelic would go on to make their own games. You may have heard of some of them. They're also kind of more like cult classic-y titles rather than like mainstream blockbuster games. You may have heard of Rule of Rose, Little King's Story, Tulip. But eventually in the 2010s, many of those developers would reform under the name Onion Games. And today, Onion Games is the right holder of basically all of Lovedelic's games, including Moon. They didn't actually think they had the source code for Moon initially, so they couldn't really port it to modern systems. But at some point, an employee just happened to stumble upon a copy of the source code for like an almost finished version of Moon. And that's how the port of Moon to the modern systems was possible. It still took several years of work, but eventually we would have Moon released on the Switch, on PlayStation 4, on Steam. And nowadays, Onion Games is also trying to work on a modern port of Tulip, another kind of cult classic game that's pretty similar to Moon in many ways, but also different in many ways. Although the chances of that are also pretty low. But they are working on it, so let's cheer them on, I guess. They also have a new RPG in the works, which was announced pretty recently this past Nintendo Direct in September. A game called Stray Children. So look forward to that. If you want more similar games to Moon, I guess there's 21 Killers, which is a pretty recent indie game that you can find on Steam. In a very similar vein, I believe not as like long or big, but also pretty quirky and interesting. Yeah, this is Moon. Where most of this cutscene is going to just involve us silently riding through space. Definitely hope that employee got a raise. I believe he was just like looking through the archives or something and just, oh, here's a source code for Moon. We can actually re-release this now. Any fun facts about the Moon? Let's see. Well, I don't really know that much about the Moon. There's of course the Artemis 2 mission, which is scheduled for November next year, and will involve a crew doing a flyby of the Moon. And then of course there's the Artemis 3 mission after that, which is planned to be the first moon landing, the first human moon landing in over 50 years. And potentially happens around 2025. Pretty interesting, pretty exciting. The Moon is made of cheese. Well, I haven't been to the Moon, so I cannot really disprove that. The Moon is where the mice come from. Again, I don't know. Can't really disprove that. Maybe the Artemis 3 will land on there and find out what kind of cheese the moon is made of. What else? There is that common fact that gets chatted around the internet a lot, which is about how the sun's diameter is 400 times, or approximately 400 times larger than the moon, but it's also about 400 times further away from Earth than the moon, which is why they look about the same size in our sky. Which is a pretty crazy coincidence, because scientists can't really find other examples of that kind of like planet, moon, and sun relationships anywhere else in the universe. And the Milky Way. Yeah, they're taking this very literally. A lot of artistic liberties taken with this game. And it really shows. It's kind of like a bit of a passion project. Sometimes it gets a little too weird though. This character, by the way, is Florence. You saw him briefly before. Again, in your casual playthrough, you might meet him and actually remember him because he's pretty crazy, but here he only appears very briefly in the middle of the game and also at the end here. Don't worry, our little child protagonist is very definitely sober. We should be most of the way through space now. Almost approaching moon. The moon, I guess. Uh-oh. A little trouble here. Don't worry, it's still a cutscene. I don't actually have to do anything here. It just resolve itself. Here they are. Our little friends decide to come along and help us a little bit here. Alright, and here we are. Welcome to the moon. Welcome to the moon. I have no idea what that giant spaceship in the background is, but that's definitely not the moon. Alright, we have landed. As everyone knows, there are only 3 things on the moon. There's a door, a palace, and a spot for a rocket to land. This is Delato, the guy I mentioned that we saw at the start. He's the Queen's servant, which means we are about to go into the palace and meet the Queen in person this time, not in our dreams. Alright, it's not just the Queen, it's also the Dragon King. Apparently they have, well, not really the same body, they're just 2 heads attached to each other. And the King's plan was to send us to the moon to open the Door of Light. So the problem that they had down there on Earth was that the moonlight was quote-unquote stolen. Like they lost it. So we needed to go to the moon here and open the Door of Light to restore the moonlight. So here it is, the Door of Light. Let's hope we can open it. And this is going to be the most mechanically intense challenge in the whole game. We just have to mash real quick. Just smash that action button. The faster you mash, the more time you save. Okay, we're done. We could not open the Door of Light. Why? Well, the answer is because it's not our destiny. You might remember what happens at the end of the game. What happens to the Dragon King? That is the destiny of the Dragon King. We cannot really change it. In fact, you might have noticed all these little tablets on the ground. They kind of look like computer chips. Well, they are computer chips. They are the game code that predetermines what happens in the game, and we unfortunately cannot change that. Our friend Yoshida decided to tag along on this rocket ride and visit the moon for himself. But there's a little unpleasant surprise here. The hero also decided to tag along. And the hero just does what the hero does. He kills animals, because that earns him experience points. If you remember the weird amalgamation little bowl of creatures that we fought at the start of the game, this is what it is. It's just actually the animals that were saved and sent back to their home on the moon. And now the hero just undoes all that work. This is our fate. Unfortunately, we can't really change it. This is what's supposed to happen in the game. Unfortunately, we could not open the Door of Light. Is everyone ready for this? We've already seen this before. Goodbye, Gelato. Goodbye, Yoshida. Goodbye, King and Queen. I don't think we can complain. I mean, this is what we did as the hero when we were controlling him. Maybe next time we see a door, we can open it. But not this time. Alright. And we're almost at the end. And our illusion shatters as our mom again calls for us to go to bed. And we wake up in front of the TV. Time will be coming up in just a little bit. When the words continue and the choices yes, no pop up. And time. Okay. So this is where you get to choose between the bad ending and the good ending. If you choose yes and you decide to continue, you get the bad ending. You get sucked back into the TV, and that basically implies you have to do everything all over again. But you cannot really change the game code. Everything is predetermined. So to get the good ending, you instead say no. You don't want to continue and just open the door and go outside. This is one of the main messages of Moon. Yes, the developers just wanted to tell you to go touch grass and stop playing video games because you've been playing too much. Yeah. The good ending is where you open the door and get some fresh air. So, it's quite a long ending sequence. There's gonna be like over 10 minutes, I believe, of ending credits. So definitely don't want to sit through all of that, especially since the marathon is already running a little bit behind schedule. Just want to thank the organizers for doing a great job running this. I really enjoyed presenting the game here. Shoutouts to the Japanese Moon speedrun community who have done incredible work to get the game to where it is right now. Really nice and chill people as well. Yeah, and this is the end. Thank you everyone for watching as well. I hope you enjoyed it. I was really nervous coming into this. And I'm ready to move on whenever you guys are ready. Oh yes, and the door of light just opens anyway. This lets the NPCs in the moon to escape into the real world. Again, don't question it. And that's the end. Thank you everyone. Love you. Bye bye.